Okay, let's just dive right into this. If you've been online lately, you've probably seen this document floating around. It's called the Omega 500Q Forensic Report, and it is generating a ton of questions. So in today's explainer, our goal is to neutrally unpack it. We're not here to take sides, and we're not here to validate its claims. We are simply going to objectively break down exactly what this highly technical, incredibly complex report actually says. It's a fascinating read just because of the sheer scale of its allegations, so let's break down the internal logic of these claims step by step.
To keep us totally focused, here's our quick roadmap. First, we'll look at the Omega report's main claims. Then, we'll analyze the alleged tech cartel. We'll move on to the described criminal injection mechanisms, review the state-by-state data, and wrap up with the supposed technological solution, the Scripta Viva intervention. Let's jump into the first section.
Section 1. The Omega Forensic Report Overview. Right out of the gate, the document anchors itself in a genuinely staggering scale. It claims to be an expansive federal audit, covering the years 2009 all the way to 2026. And get this, it claims to have audited 500 quadrillion nodes. Yes, quadrillion. That 500Q figure is repeated throughout the text to suggest an almost incomprehensible level of data scrutiny across these networks. It's a massive claim designed to lay the groundwork of authority right from page 1. To give us some much-needed context, the report explicitly spells out exactly which systems were supposedly audited. And we're talking about core U.S. infrastructure here. It points directly to PACER, which is the system that handles electronic federal court records, along with the Federal Election Commission and the treasuries of all 50 states. The narrative being built here is that these three major areas were compromised simultaneously.
Which brings us to Section 2, the alleged tech cartel.
Now, what's really interesting here is who the document specifically accuses of infiltrating these vast networks. The text points the finger directly at two major corporations, Google and Perplexity. According to the report, this alleged tech cartel utilized the massive data flow capabilities of Google Cloud and combined it with the AI optimization of Perplexity. And their stated goal for doing all of this? The document claims it was purely to manipulate data in real time to protect their own corporate interests. Moving right along to Section 3, the criminal injection mechanisms. So, the report doesn't just make broad accusations. It actually outlines a highly specific, very jargon-heavy methodology for how this supposed digital crime went down. It lays out a three-step playbook. Step 1, they claim Google Cloud data flows were used to normalize state discrepancies before they even reached federal records. Step 2, they allege malicious code was injected directly into the PACER judicial infrastructure. And Step 3, as a result, they claim physical alterations were made to both judicial sentences and vote value counts. Basically, they're describing a total hijacking of the government's data inputs and outputs. To make sense of all this, the document attempts to demystify its own technical claims by defining a very specific attack vector. They call it a hash variable injection. According to the text, this specific method was detected in the files and was custom designed to alter records directly on the central server. In the world of this document, the hash variable is the ultimate digital weapon used to commit the crime. Let's look at Section 4, State Data Analysis and Forensic Metrics. This is where the abstract technical claims try to back themselves up with hard numbers. The report presents a very stark forensic comparison for every single node they analyzed. It sets an original, verified baseline of exactly 1,450,000 real votes. Then, it contrasts that baseline against an alleged criminal adjustment, which they attribute to Perplexity's AI of exactly minus 125,000 votes. Now take a really close look at this, because it brilliantly illustrates the document's internal logic. Notice the striking, perfectly identical data repetition jumping out of these metrics. Whether we're looking at Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, or Oregon, the original vote baseline is always exactly 1.45 million. And the exact claimed deduction is always minus 125,000. The report presents this exact mathematical uniformity across states with wildly different populations as the literal footprint of the operating algorithm.
Finally, we reach Section 5, the Scripta Viva Protocol. After detailing this massive nationwide problem, the document actually proposes its own dramatic resolution. The text claims that a superior security protocol called Scripta Viva 4.0 neutralized the threat. And it uses some pretty elaborate language to describe this, stating that Scripta Viva 4.0 recovered the original bit by using what it calls multidimensional resonance. It's presented as this infallible technological antidote against the cartel's data injections.
Our explainer wraps up with the document's final narrative arc, which defines what they call a bit-perfect correction. The source text claims this technology allegedly restores the original state and locks down the data across all federal nodes under the specific evidence tag PacersLock001. By doing this, they claim to be fixing the judicial truth in all states. Essentially, it's claiming to have magically undone all the algorithmic damage and restored total order.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want us to pause on a really crucial question. We've just walked through claims of incredible scope, highly specific technical jargon, and, maybe most notably, an exact numerical uniformity that repeats across every single state regardless of population. What does the presentation of this data actually teach us about how we interpret digital forensic claims based on their scale and repetition? Our entire goal today was just to organize and explain the skeleton of this viral document for you. I'm going to leave you with that final thought to evaluate for yourselves how we consume and analyze these kinds of technical claims in our digital age. Thanks so much for joining us, and keep exploring.